On today's Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, the Clippers continue to lose, the Nuggets bounce back, and we saw an upset tonight.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night, tipping off now.
Oh, Rylan, you're muted for me.
Let's get it going on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your teams every day. We're here to recap the day that was in the NBA on Saturday night. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. I'm Rylan Stiles. That's Gavin Schall. I'm from Locked On Thunder. He's from Locked On Knicks, and we're going to take you through what happened on Saturday night in the NBA. Gavin, let's start with the Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns. Denver and Phoenix both playing on the second night of a back-to-back, both coming off of a loss, and Denver bounced back with a 130-112 win despite having Jokic as questionable before the game. He ends up playing and goes for 26 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, and helps the Nuggets win this game. What did you see from Denver in their bounce back against Phoenix?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be there in person. I was terrified for about an hour leading up to the game. Was this stupid? Is Jokic going to be out? Should I have just stayed home? And lo and behold, he played, and he was quietly awesome is the way I'll phrase it. It was one of those games where you're like, man, like he's not that involved. Like I really wanted to see him do like some freakish stuff, throw like just a mind-bending hook pass from 50 feet away. And then you look up and he's 16, 5 and 4 at halftime, 5 and 5 from the field, 5 and 6 from the line, couple threes. Like that is the Nikola Jokic experience on his quote unquote quieter nights, which are still like just career nights for 80% of the NBA. But I think this was a story of a Phoenix team that was just absolutely exhausted from playing your Oklahoma City Thunder last night. I know Denver had a dogfight with the Spurs that they lost, but I think Oklahoma City, the experience is a little bit different. It's almost 2 games in 1, and Denver's just collective size, I think, really weighed on the Suns over the course of this game. Like the Suns came out incredibly scrappy, flying all around. Like Grayson Allen was a man shot out of a cannon. He had like 2 or 3 steals in the first couple minutes. He was constantly pushing pace. What's his name? Dylan Brooks just could not miss a shot to start this game. Like he had like 18 or 19 in the first half. If I'm remembering correctly, Colin Gillespie looked like Timu Steph Curry out there. Like he was hitting just ridiculous like sidestep threes, and the Suns are just like this whirling dervish of a basketball team on both ends, like endless energy, flying around, like probing just to make the next pass, cracking the door open, wider until they get a wide open three. And they have elite shooters. I don't know if people realize this. Grayson Allen is 45% from 3 this year, 9 threes per game. That's like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson territory. Royce O'Neal, 43% on 7.5 threes a game. Jalen Green has barely played, but he's shooting 43% from 3. Colin Gillespie, 42 on 6.5 per game. Like this team has shooters on shooters on shooters. And then in the second half, all that just broke down because Denver was bigger at every single position. They really were lost off the ball, and that is a death sentence against Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray started absolutely cooking them. The 2-man game between him and Jokic was just exceptional. Like I don't really know what you like the ESP they have at this point. There was this one play where Jokic like bumps Royce O'Neal, like kind of just like a little tap to the side, kind of like the ghost screens the Indiana Pacers love to set. Then he kind of sinks back, bumps Dylan Brooks out of the play, pops back up, another one of those love taps, but a little harder this time, kind of pushes Royce like subtly to the left. Royce goes with it, and Jamal Murray just does like the equivalent of a screen reject, goes the other way, bangs a wing 3, and like Denver, once the 3s started falling, once Phoenix, like I think the fatigue caught up from them from the night before, the fact that they were again like just literally outweighed, outsized at every single spot started to catch up with them, and the shots stopped falling the same way they did in the first half. And it just wasn't a great Devin Booker night either. Like they just didn't have the firepower to keep up. I'm going to call this a very professional win from the Denver Nuggets, and flashes of what has made the Suns so special this year, even though this was a blowout loss.
Yeah, I thought that the Suns, have competed hard the last couple of nights and all season. This is a team that is way better defensively than anyone would have thought that they were going to be heading into this season. You mentioned their three-point prowess. Getting Grayson Allen back in this game was a huge lift for them and will be moving forward as he continues to come back into the fold here for Phoenix. Devin Booker needed a bigger night from Devin Booker. You would have hoped that he could have had a bigger scoring night, but Colin Gillespie going 4 for 8 from 3 was huge. He just has a knack for hitting big shots up until the end where, the Nuggets were able to pull away. But Tim Hardaway Jr., 7 for 11 from 3 off the bench. He's such a spark plug for Denver. And then Jokic literally does not miss a shot in this game. 7 for 7 from the floor, 2 for 2 from 3. And Denver gets a professional win, as you say, 130-112 over Phoenix. Let's head to the Eastern Conference, where the Detroit Pistons, they were able to outlast the Miami Heat. This Miami Heat team that is just running rampant, forgetting everything about pick and roll and ball screens, and they're just running fast. And this was a shootout. This was Detroit coming off of a couple tough losses at the free throw line. They end up winning 135 over Miami. You saw Cade Cunningham go for 29 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals and a block, shooting 56% from the floor. Duncan Robinson goes 3 for 9 with 18 points. Tobias Harris had 26 points in this game as well. They were able to outlast the Heat, who did have Tyler Hero back as he made his return over the last week, and Bam Adebayo was in the lineup with a double-double, 15 points, 10 rebounds. But ultimately, a very fun game with Norman Powell back on for 28 points, but the Pistons get the win.
Yeah, this game was pure chaos. I mean, Detroit had felt like it was over multiple times. We got Tobias Harris hitting first Jaden Ivey hit this 26-foot transition bomb at the end of the third, and it was 108-89. You're like, all right, this is starting to get away from Miami a little bit. And then I was watching this game like after it was over. So I was like, all right, at some point the Heat make a run, right? And you just keep going, and you're like, wait, why hasn't it started yet? Dennis Jenkins, it's just some legitimate on-ball juice, crossed up his guy, sprayed at Tobias Harris on the wing. It was 118-99 with 8:30 left. Ron Holland, I don't know if you were a Peanut Tillman guy, but the peanut punch, he pulled one off on Tyler Hero, off a live dribble, which I don't know if I've ever seen an NBA player. You hear the phrase "punch it out." I don't know if I've ever seen that before with a live dribble. Ron Holland did it. It was 121-99. I'm like, all right, maybe I had a stroke and I just misread the final score. But no, from there, Miami just got cooking and sneakily could have come all the way back. It was Andrew Wiggins forcing a couple turnovers after Sar Thompson telegraphed a pass, and then he had a poke away and run out on Tobias Harris. And then Cade checked back in, and he made a couple of mistakes, and Davion Mitchell had 3 steals on him in a 2.5-minute stretch. It was crazy. One of them was just this brilliant time double team where he it was clear he just watched film of Cade spinning back middle and knew exactly what was happening and teleported to the spot and just ripped the ball away from Cade as he was doing it. Hero had a crazy step back 28-foot 3 to make it 131. 126 at one point. The third steal from Mitchell, he just missed a transition layup that would have cut it to a 1-score game. And then they had a couple more opportunities down the stretch. You credit Cade, just 2 really smart plays when the Heat started blitzing him. One time just hitting Jenkins on the short roll, and Jenkins really gutty play for a guy who wasn't an NBA rotation player before this year, going right at and around Bam Adebayo for a layup. And then the next time down, Cade, this was just so smart. He sees the blitz coming, and instead of doing what the defense expects, right, which is drag it out, hit the short roller, let him play 4-on-3, he spins back against it, goes the other way, away from the double team, gets downhill. Hero tries to pick it up at the elbow, has this low pickup, hop step to the side, hits a short fadeaway jumper. That was the ball game. So gutty win, gutty finish from Detroit. At their best, it's just a bunch of big, angry dudes flying around. Ron Holland looks like he's a little bit more composed. He's a little bit more off the dribble than he is last year. Tobias Harris couldn't miss, start off 9 for 10, 4 for 5 from 3 in this one. Duncan Robinson showing some stuff off the dribble. Jaden Ivey, I think continues to look solid in a very specific role. I'm curious what it looks like when they expand that a little bit, but Detroit's really good. Miami is just so dangerous. You can't stop playing against them, and that's always true for Eric Spoelstra teams. But to your point with this new offense, that just feels like it turns all 5 guys into a weapon at all times. You really can't stop playing against the Heat.
You got to keep playing. It is a game of runs. And speaking of runs, Minnesota almost let go of the rope, but they were able to survive. Boston, the Clippers fall again, and the Pacers get a feel-good win, all coming up. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at DoorDash. Go check out DoorDash today because DoorDash is incredible, folks. And you're going to want to get in on this action because with DoorDash, they're making every game a little bit more exciting if you're an NBA fan. As the NBA season heats up, DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA. They're celebrating something that they call the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 or more points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered to win a chance at the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you actually want. Go check them out today because DoorDash has you covered for late-night highlight watching, last-minute watch parties, and double overtime fuel-ups, whether you want drinks, snacks, a full meal, and they can even deliver you stuff like socks and headphones if you're somewhere where you need that quickly. So next time someone goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code NBA50. Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We're back on the Locked On NBA podcast. It's the Game Night podcast where we take you through everything that happened that night in the association. This is Saturday night. I'm Rylan, Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Gavin, Schall, host of Locked On Knicks. And we're talking about the games that were, including the Minnesota Timberwolves getting a win over the Boston Celtics, where the T-Wolves win 119-115 over Boston. The Timberwolves were able to grow a 12-point lead after regaining that lead after Boston built up a 12-point lead of their own. But then Boston comes surging back at the end of the fourth quarter to tie the game with 18 lead changes in total. Minnesota pulls out the win behind Anthony Edwards' 39-point night. They win 119-115. Let's go to Lockdown Celtics, Sean Corrales, for more on this game.
Jaylen Brown was awesome again, but too much Anthony Edwards, and the Timberwolves hold on down the stretch. I'm John Corrales from the Locked On Celtics podcast. 41 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 5 steals for Jaylen Brown is something no Celtic has ever done. So an awesome night for him. He's had an all-NBA type start to the season. Neemias Queta, career highs in points, 19, rebounds, 18. He was everywhere. I think he's doing a good job in recognizing where to be and when. He's really improved a lot in that area. So he was huge. Joe Mazzulla after the game said, we're obviously a better team with him on the floor. But the offense got clunky. They started missing shots. And when the Celtics don't hit shots, they don't have really a chance. They got hot on a 12-0 run to close the game almost, but Anthony Edwards ends up icing it. The problem for the Celtics is when Jalen isn't going, they don't have a consistent guy that picks up the slack. It's supposed to be Derek White. Peyton Pritchard's supposed to fill in on that as well, but they're just not getting that consistent number 2 scoring guy, and that's hurting them. I was hoping for some carryover from Derek White. We didn't quite get it, so I'll talk about it more on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Go check out Locked On Celtics. And Gavin, anytime you can do something that's never been done in Celtics history before, clearly a great night with that storied franchise. But ultimately, Minnesota is able to withstand 18 lead changes, 8 ties. Both sides grew a 12-point lead in this game. Minnesota's 3-point shot making really helped them out, making 43% of their threes, including a big 3 by Mike Conley, who, of course, has had an up-and-down season, really the last couple of seasons for Minnesota. But he ends up going 2 for 2 off the bench in 17 minutes with 6 points, 2 timely threes for the Timberwolves. But Anthony Edwards, the story for Minnesota, with 39 points on 5 for 11 shooting from 3, 10 for 11 from the free throw line, where he's had to change his free throw routine after Mark Cuban ratted him out. But you did see the Boston Celtics really struggle to put this game fully away despite the 41 points from Jaylen Brown. But Minnesota opened that door for that 12-0 run late by Boston. This is another time in which they've done this. Now they have like outright blown games in the past. Like you're looking at those Suns in the NBA Cup, you're looking at the Kings, but does it worry you at all that the Timberwolves continue to let teams storm back and make it a more close game at the end?
Yeah, it does a little bit, and this has been true for a couple of years for Minnesota. I think a lot of the blame went to Karl Anthony Towns in the past. Maybe some of it rightfully, some of it because and this is true. We talk about all the time on Locked On Knicks. Like he makes himself an easy target. But now that he's gone, like Minnesota, and look, I don't want to imply some lack of seriousness for Minnesota, right? You don't make back-to-back pushes to the Western Conference Finals if you're not like an extraordinarily serious franchise built around like a capital S, just say all caps superstar in Anthony Edwards. And yet there are stretches and there are times and last season, a lot of it was like just a brutal schedule and like a lot of ill-timed injuries. And it feels like even a year later, this team is still kind of figuring itself out and how it fits together and like what the right combination is of like when to play Randall and Gobert and when to close with Nas and Rudy and like they don't quite just have like everything down. And what I keep coming back to, and I've talked about with you on this podcast a whole bunch, is I think a lot of it is like there isn't and Timberwolves fans comment and tell me if I'm off on this, but from what I've seen, like there just isn't a clear cut finishing lineup on a night-to-night basis. And there's some question of who's their best five. Is Anthony Edwards the point guard? Like, is someone else nominally taking on that role for some amount of time? And yet, despite all that, like, and like, I do think that hurts them with their consistency and their ability to close out games. Like, they're just so explosive and so scary at times. And they're just one of the deepest teams, like outside of your Thunder in the NBA. And you have a night where Ant just like is volcanic, to your point, 12 of 24 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3, 10 of 11 from the line. His mid-post game, I haven't watched a lot of Minnesota this year's mid-post game, really impressed me. Summer spent, or at least 1 hour of it maybe, working with Michael Jordan, and you see some payoff from that. And he was torturing Derek White, like one of the best defenders in the NBA, and Ant was just a little too quick, a little too strong. And by leveraging that mid-post game, he didn't really give White an opportunity to get handsy with him. He was just kind of like finding leverage, spinning off of whichever way White leaned and getting right to the rim and laying it in. I did think Ant took some like crazy shots late in the game. Some of them went in. One of them where like he missed a 3, and then it was like a huge offensive rebound from Rudy, who sprayed it out to Devo, and Ant like made smart plays after taking like crazy shots, right? Because he had like a back cut right off of that. And Dante, who had, I think, 8 assists in this game, like just hit it, like zipped one to him for a double pump layup. Another one where he had a high post entry to Nas, and then you see the football background, right? Little double move, cuts back against the grain on Derek White, spin, lefty layup on Sam Hauser, who was the low man. Took, again, like a crazy dance back 28-footer where it was 110 all with 120 left, 14 seconds on the shot clock, but he kept getting bailed out by offensive rebounds. And then he closed the game in like a really smart way. High screen, quick tween, right at Cade, free throws, and then like the shot to end it. If you pause the video on it, his feet are parallel to the sideline. I have no idea how he makes this shot. It was nuts. Shout out to Naz Reid, couple of big defensive stops earlier in the fourth quarter. Again, I thought DiVincenzo's playmaking was really good. I think Minnesota will figure it out. It's just a matter of like this group getting enough time together and probably trading for like a definitive point guard at some point. Maybe even Derek White. But Pascal Siakam hit a buzzer beater, last second shot for the game winner over the Chicago Bulls, 103-101, low scoring game. We have Tap and Tony East from Locked On Pacers to recap this one for us.
Riding up the escalator and out of a Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Pacers just won their second game in a row, first streak of the season. They beat the Bulls 103-101. Many ways the story of this game could go very streaky. Jay Huff start and great defense at the end, but the story for the Pacers, after being on the wrong end of so many shots this season at the end of games, the right end this time, Pascal Siakam with 0.1 to go, drives, 2 defenders come his way, he pump fakes, he has a chance to pass, but he sees that both defenders jump on the fake. Patience, poise, rises up and drills a mid-range shot that Pascal Siakam has drilled hundreds of times, thousands of times even, throughout his career to give the Pacers this win. Their defense has been much better recently. Jay Huff starting has changed things for them. Their centers were quite good. Siakam was great. They're 4-16. Much more coming on Locked On Pacers.
Go check out Locked On Pacers. What a win for the Pacers. What a shot by Siakam coming up. Clippers lose to Dallas, blowing a 10-point lead, but Cooper Flagg makes history in that game. But first, I want to tell you right now, my good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because they are incredible, folks. The NBA season is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game and you want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets from everything from who will score the next bucket to who's going to make that fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can combine these live bets into the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com, sign up today, play your game at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can go there right now and check out all of their great lines from who's going to win the NBA championship to who's going to win this very next game, like this game between your Knicks and the Raptors. New York minus 7.5. Go check that out today at FanDuel.com. We're back on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the world. We appreciate you for making that happen. You every day as we are Locked On NBA Game Night, where we're taking you through everything that happened the night before in the association. This is Saturday night. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Gavin Schall, host of Locked On Knicks. And Gavin, the Clippers lost again. 114-110. Dallas gets a road win behind a historic night from Cooper Flagg. The Clippers grew a 10-point lead in that first quarter, and they build it back up to 9 points in the second quarter, and they keep it steady around 7 points out of intermission. But ultimately, playing within 10 points is nothing in the modern NBA. Dallas is able to wrestle away the game late in the fourth quarter for good. They go through 15 lead changes and 9 ties, and Dallas gets the win, despite both teams being horrendous from beyond the arc. Both teams shot 28% from distance, but the Mavericks shot 44% from the floor. Clippers shot 46%, and this was a 114-110 grinded out game for Dallas to get the win behind Cooper Flagg's career night, going for 35 points in this game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists on 59% shooting from the floor, even including his 0 for 3 night from beyond the arc. He gets to the free throw line for 11 attempts. He makes 9 of them. Cooper Flagg, the youngest player in NBA history to go for 35-plus points in this game. He had the best night of his career. They start Ryan Nembhard at the point guard position. And ultimately, this was a grinded-out game. Najee Marshall continues to add a massive boost to what Dallas is trying to do this season, trying to salvage anything that they can. Klay Thompson off the bench goes 6 for 10 from beyond the arc for 23 points, and he was a plus 15 in this game, and he was critical in this win for the Mavs over a Clippers team that has James Harden go for 29 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds, that had Kawhi Leonard go for 30 points on 50% shooting. Zoo was still in the middle with 11 rebounds, and he blocked the shot and got a steal as well. Like, this was the real Clippers against what's left of the Dallas Mavericks with no Anthony Davis. And yet the Mavericks won, and Cooper Flagg had 35 points. Like, where's the concern meter at for the Clippers? We've been trying to be patient. We've been trying to say, I know it's funny to make the jokes and talk about their pick that's owed to Oklahoma City, but surely they can turn this thing around and get back to the play-in at least in the Western Conference. And from there, we'll see how it goes. But right now, Gavin, they're in the bottom 5 of the NBA, the 5th best lottery odds, and that pick is going to Oklahoma City unprotected. They're 5-15. They've lost 4 straight. Like, what's going on with the Clippers? No one would have thought it'd be this bad.
Rylan, I'm reticent to take a victory lap because you and I agree so often, and I really value our friendship. But you asked me this summer, are they contenders? And I was adamant they were not contenders, and I said it's because their bench was just like dust, like the dust when you go to a graveyard and a strong wind blows by, and like it's from the 1700 section. They're too old. They're way too old. But I thought they were still going to be quite good. I thought that we were talking about them as the deepest team in the league. I thought they were going to win 50 plus games. They are certainly not on that trajectory at 5-15, 28th in defensive rating for a team that was third last year. That like post All-Star break was putting up like just dominant Thunder type numbers. Like it is crazy how different they look. I know, I think I've had this like same diatribe on Locked On NBA before, so I apologize for the fans who've heard it, but they really miss Norm Powell and his creativity and his compete level. But it just look, they got rid of him for money reasons, and so they'll have like a ton of it this summer and even more the summer after. And the pick to Oklahoma City, again, like obviously it's more painful if it's a top 10 pick. Congratulations to you, by the way, the 10-time defending champions when you're doing this pod in 2034. But man, I don't know how you're optimistic after this. Like Kawhi Leonard was exceptional in this game, 10 for 20 from the field, 3 for 4 for 3, 7 for 7 from the line, 38-3. John Collins goes 9 for 10. Ivica Zubac, 8 for 12. 19 points. James Harden, 17 of 19 from the free-throw line, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. We'll ignore the 7 assists and the 5 of 17 from the field. Like, you got what you needed from your stars, but because Chris Paul is just functionally not an NBA rotation player anymore, Nico Batum scores 0 points in 28 minutes. You get 5 total points from your bench that was on the floor for like nearly an hour of game time. Like that, you can't win basketball games like that in the modern NBA. And shout out to our guy, Cooper Flagg, growing up in the Steph Curry's generation, to your point, 0 for 3 from 3. He was watching 80 Celtics tape out there in Maine. Like the number of times he was just cooking in this game from just a standstill, Ryan, like static offense, like nothing really going on around him. And he was just able to like get to the mid post, get to the mid range, get all the way to the rim to like dunk on Ivica Zubac's head. Like it was just a nasty, physically dominating performance. And if you're the Clippers and Cooper Flagg was going to catch up with you, you're going to be like, all right, 22-year-old Cooper Flagg, when James Harden's 39 and Kawhi Leonard's 37, like that's when he'll catch up to you. It's 4 years too early, but man, Dallas is coming, and they are somehow like for a team that's been just a horrible story for the last year, they're in a better place than the Clippers right now. Not good if you're LA.
This was the game that really turned me sour on the Clippers. Now, preseason, you know, I had said if the stars align, they could be a contender, but I did have them comfortably in the playoffs, not the play-in. I had them comfortably in the top 6. I thought that their added depth could make them flirt with a home court advantage seed. But now you look at them, and they're 4 games out of even making the play-in tournament. They're the 5th worst record in the NBA, and you look at this game in particular. The reason why this game soured me is because of everything you just laid out. You had a good Harden game. You had a great Kawhi game. You had Zoo. You had a healthy roster outside of Bradley Beal, who's out for the season, which is a huge blow because you were hoping he could replace some of that Norman Powell production, which they just cannot replace. They just cannot replace Norman Powell. But man, if you lose this game to that Dallas team, I can no longer convince myself that things are going to turn around for the Clippers. They might turn it around, but I can no longer bank on that. But the Hornets did end the Raptors run here of being a hot team. The Hornets win in overtime over the Raptors, 118-111. This was a wacky game just because you see the Charlotte Hornets get the win, but Con Knipple continues to be wildly impressive as a rookie. 20 points, 4 for 7 from 3, 5 for 10 overall, to go along with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Miles Bridges had 35 points on 56% shooting. Ryan Cockburner was awesome in the middle of this paint for the old Charlotte Hornets. And then you ended up seeing off the bench Colin Sexton go for 18 points on 54% shooting. And that's what the doctor ordered to go along with Liam McNeely's 7 points off the bench for the Hornets to outlast the Raptors in overtime. The Raptors did see 30 points from Scotty Barnes with 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. As Scotty Barnes continues to play great. Emmanuel quickly went 3 for 8 from 3 in this game to add a boost to Toronto. But ultimately, Toronto, who had the lead and controlled the game for 85% of it, and then they ended up letting go of the rope in this one after leading by 17 points. Just 1 lead change and 3 ties in an overtime game in which the Hornets end up winning in OT, despite, again, bad shooting night. Hornets shot 25% from 3 overall, but they get the win over Toronto.
Yeah, I go back to how did Duke not win the national championship, given that they had two of the top 75 players in the NBA on their team as 18-year-olds last year, in Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg. I mean, Con is crazy. Like he's just like he looks like a 28-year-old out there. Like if you just drop me in and you erase the last 2 years of my memory before I knew someone named Con Knipple existed, and I put on this game, I would have said, who's that 28-year-old European dude that the Charlotte Hornets signed? Like you just see it like when he runs transition and like Diabate has a seal and he just throws this perfect lead pass so he can pivot inside for a dunk. Like it's just like these small little intricacies of the game, and he is just incredibly sharp and like the cojones to drain that corner three, pump fake. I think it was Brandon Ingram didn't bite, and he said, "Great, I'm going to rise up in your face. I'm going to put it in anyways." Just a big time shot from Con Knipple on a team that like has maybe been the least professional in the NBA over the last 10 years. I know my good friends over in Brooklyn would maybe argue with that. But man, like he is a consummate professional. Colin Sexton continues to just have a killer season, monster off the dribble three to cut it to 198. Ended up being a 12-0 run for Charlotte to tie it. Miles Bridges was great in overtime, like really, really good attacking closeouts, getting to his spots over and over again, making some tough, like short mid-range shots. Toronto, despite like the 9-game winning streak, like there's just some variance to that. It was going to end at some point. They blow a 17-point first half lead. Just an incredibly weird, fun team. Fun stat for my friends over at Hot Hand Theory. They're 17th in pace this year, and yet they're first in transition points. That's incredibly weird. You go to their bench, the Mamu, I'm not even going to try to say his full name, Colin Murray Boyles combo is just about as fun of a weird, hyper-specific, complementary bench big duo as I can remember. Mamu, like just ultra-skilled, versatile on offense. CMB, like sick defender, can guard 1 through 5. Scotty Barnes was a monster playing bully ball, 30 and 12. Just like he put who was it? He put like Brandon Miller in the rim at one point. Fun game. Both teams were good. I want to see more of them.
And we'll close the night with a couple get-right games. The Bucks in a 9-game slide as they win 116-99 over the Brooklyn Nets. Giannis only missed 3 shots in this game, went 1 for 2 from 3, 4 for 8 at the free throw line, and tallied up 29 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in this game. Is a plus 27 in the game for this 116-99 win from Milwaukee over Brooklyn. What a night from the Bucks and from Giannis.
Yeah, 21,000 career points now for Giannis, 6th fastest player to reach that mark. Again, like I think very cliche thing to say, but I think he's probably underappreciated. Like what we're watching, how dominant he is. He's had some tough luck, given Milwaukee's health in the playoffs last few years. He's the freak.
And despite still missing Steph, the Golden State Warriors able to get a win over the Pelicans 104-96 as Jimmy Butler goes for 24 points on 46% shooting from the floor and 10 assists with 8 rebounds, flirting with that triple-double. Draymond did play in this game, and you also saw Podziemski go for 15 points in double figures. Gary Payton the second had 19 points. Jonathan Kuminga had 10 points, and then Moses Moody had 11 as well. So a lot of double-figure scores for Golden State. Shortened rotation, of course, without Steph Curry and without Al Horford. But the Warriors do win over the Pelicans. Derek Queen had a quiet night after what's been a sensational start to the year for him. Zion had 25 points, 7 boards, 4 assists on 50% shooting. That was good to see from Zion, but an inefficient night from Jeremiah Fears, another rookie who's been really good for the Pelicans, ends up costing them the win, 104-96. And so Golden State gets the win, and that concludes the Saturday night that was in the NBA. Gavin, this was a lot of fun to go through with you. Go check him out, Locked On Knicks. Check me out on Locked On Thunder. And until next time, folks, be good and be good to one another.